council regular meeting for Tuesday, December the 10th, 2019. Clerk, please call the roll.
Calling the roll, Ms. Stevens.
Present.
Ms. Simon.
Here.
Ms. Baker.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Tuma. Mr. Gallagher. Mr. Sean.
Here.
Ms. Conwell.
Present.
Mr. Jones.
Here.
Ms. Brown.
Here.
Council President Brady.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh,
Madam Clerk, is there any public comment?
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Peter Corrigan.
all righty.
Hi, everybody. Whole council here tonight, too, so thank you. I had a look at the committee of the whole video from a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. And I heard the impassioned pleas for the HHS levy. And I have to say, Council President, you were most eloquent, so I commend you, and most believable. I wanted to comment on that. And I'll give you a personal experience. I was at Costco this week in Avon Lake. And to buy tires, it was cheap, and that's where we went. And every time I go to Avon Lake, it drives me crazy because Avon Lake is 23,000 people, and it's loaded with big box retail stores, and it's loaded with traffic problems and population growth. And I got to tell this council, those are our people. They're leaving our county. The retail is leaving our county. The people are leaving our county. And they're leaving because of the tax base. They're leaving because of the 8% from Cuyahoga County. They're leaving because of the property tax. And we're losing our ability to capture those taxes and our further ability to take care of the health and human service issues which are so compelling in the county. I see you as adamantly defending that, and in my race before, I saw so many problems, and I'd very much like to fund and support those. But we can't do it if we continue to lose business. So there's this really fine balance that we have to walk. So when I heard all of the comments and what everybody was fighting for, and once again, I commend you for doing that. I think the proposal that's being put out there is a big reach, and we risk not only people leaving, businesses leaving, but the inability to further take care of our health and human service issues looking into the future, looking into 10 years from now, 15 years from now, as this city continues to decline and as this county continues to decline in population and business. So I would ask and implore you to take a stronger look at that. I think, as my own political beliefs, I like to be, a tax hawk, but we do need to do something, and I'm very much open to the replacement levy, a replacement plus. We have a replacement plus 33, 34, 35%. I'd be much more amenable to a replacement plus a little bit, not another 35, not another 24, $35 million. So I'd ask you to consider that in your vote. Take another look at it. We want to keep people here. These are our people. I don't want them going to Avon Lake or Medina or Brunswick or Willoughby. I want them staying here. And thank you for my time.
Ms. Liu.
Good evening. This is definitely a coincidence, but I have to echo that gentleman what he said. People in the homeless shelter, the obvious one if they are homeless because of domestic violence, lots of time the solution is they have to be moved out of this county, even this state, in order to stop the abuser, the stalker, all those people. In that case, they may have a chance to relocate and raise their children, find another job, and stable housing. However, there's another good example right now we have. This has been happened many, many times. But right now, this person, a senior citizen, originally came from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. She came here, the original plan was to reunite with her son. Unfortunately, throughout the time, that did not work out. During this time, she has been in the shelter. However, shelter has a lot of experiments. We are the guinea pigs. So she was threatened by the same person giving me a lot of hard time, which I have reported here, telling her if she doesn't take the housing in Cleveland, she has to stay the so-called E-dorm till she moves out of this shelter. That means as a senior citizen with health issues, she cannot even get a breakfast in the morning to leave the building. And of course, there are all other kinds of harassment. I have got a lot myself, retaliations. Her plan right now is, since she couldn't get reunited with her son, her plan actually is to move back to Myrtle Beach. So why do you want to punish her this way? She's not the only one. We have a lot of similar cases like that. Yes, it's good to help people to get housing, but if their housing plan is not getting a housing in Cleveland, in Cuyahoga County, why should they get punished? This is something really confusing. In the past, I compared shelters and the county jail. Because people should be staying in, get some protections, are forcing out on the street every day. In the contrast, the people are not completely guilty, they stay in the county jail and they cannot get out. Same solution. Severe mental health issue getting even worse. Some people try to commit suicide, but now only county jail has the formal report, so they can get some improvement. When should we get improvements in homeless shelters, drug treatment center inpatient program, all these other places sharing the same problems? Should we have more people die in all these places in order to get some improvements? Thank you.
No, sir.
All righty. I'd like to have a motion to approve the minutes as printed on the agenda. Could I have a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor of approving the November 18th, 2019 Committee of the Whole, November 26th, 2019 Committee of the Whole, November 26th, 2019 regular meeting, and December 2nd, 2019 Committee of the Whole meeting, say yay.
Yay.
All those opposed, say or aye, or yes, or yeah. All those opposed, say no. The ayes have it. The minutes have been approved. Message from the county executive today?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. The strength of our county government is our tremendous employees. They're hardworking and they're caring, and they don't get recognized enough for all they do. So I wanted to tell you about a program called Elves for Elders. Many of our staff at DSAS decided to bring some extra holiday pleasure to the seniors that they serve. Out of their own pockets, and I emphasize out of their own pockets, they purchased Christmas presents for about 200 of our elders. They wrapped them, and they personally delivered them to their homes. I saw some of the responses, and I can't overstate the happiness that this delivered to people. So I just wanted you to know how much our staff really cares about the people that they serve. Thank you.
Thank you. Legislation introduced by council, consideration of a resolution of council for first reading adoption under suspension of the rules. Could I have a motion to suspend the rules?
Mr. President, I move to suspend the rules.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. The rules are suspended.
Resolution number 2019-0284, approving the Charter of County of Cuyahoga, Ohio, as amended through November 5th, 2019.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Is there any, clerk, would you please explain the purpose of this resolution?
Yes, Mr. President. This is basically a routine item that every time we are required to do this, once the electorate has approved a charter amendment. And so once I implement those changes into the charter itself and certify that, then the law director certifies my certification, and then it comes to the council for your approval.
Okay, so in this case, the charter amendment about the office of mayor is the one in question.
The Office of Sheriff?
Sheriff, did I say mayor? Sorry.
sir.
We don't have a mayor of the county.
Office of Sheriff, yes, sir.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2019-0285, approving a collective bargaining agreement between Cuyahoga County Board of Developmental Disabilities and Association of Cuyahoga County Employees for Special Students, an affiliate of National Education Association and Ohio Education Association, representing approximately 108 employees in various position titles for the period January 1, 2020 through December 31, 2022.
And this was discussed in executive session, and the council will take no action on this and is not required to. Legislation introduced by the executive, consideration of a resolution for first reading adoption under suspension of rules. Could I have a motion to suspend the rules?
Mr. President, I move to suspend the rules.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it. The rules are suspended.
Resolution number 2019-0286, amending the 2018-2019 biennial operating budget for 2019 by providing for additional fiscal appropriations, for appropriation transfers, and for cash transfers.
Move to adopt. Mr. President, my colleagues, this is the regular bi-monthly agenda of budget amendments. Questions have been directed to OBM and the answers are at your stations. This resolution is primarily a routine year-end cleanup. Appropriations and transfers to cover year-end needs, appropriations and closeouts of grants, indirect cost reconciliations. The one very notable item is the transfer of $15 million from the general fund to the HHS levy fund to avoid negative cash balances. While this is necessary primarily to cover items that have been encumbered but have not yet been spent, this item clearly shows that we require strong action to put the Health and Human Services Levy Fund in proper financial condition. I recommend passage on first reading suspension.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Consideration of resolutions for first reading and referral to committee.
Resolution number 2019-0287, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Edward H. Blakemore to serve on the Cuyahoga County Public Library Board of Trustees for the term January 1, 2020 through December 31, 2026.
And this will be referred to Human Resources and Appointments.
Resolution number 2019-0288, confirming the county executive's appointment of Michelle C. Scott Taylor to serve on the Cuyahoga Arts and Culture Board of Trustees for an unexpired term ending March 31, 2020.
This will also be referred to HR and Appointments.
Resolution number 2019-0289, authorizing a revenue-generating utility agreement with City of Cleveland Heights in the amount not to exceed $600,000 for maintenance and repair of storm and sanitary sewers located in County Sewer District Number 17 for the period January 1, 2020 through December 31, 2020.
And this will be referred to Public Works.
Resolution number 2019-0290, authorizing various sole source contracts with Manatron Incorporated in the total amount not to exceed $620,301 for support and maintenance services for various Manatron systems for the period January 1, 2020 through December 31, 2020, as printed on the agenda.
This will be referred to Finance.
Resolution number 2019-0291, authorizing an agreement with City of Euclid in the amount not to exceed $508,121.37 for allocation of fiscal year 2016 through 2018 United States Department of Housing and Urban Development Home Investment Partnership Program funds for home qualified activities for the period May 1, 2019 through April 30, 2021.
Be referred to Community Development.
Resolution number 2019-0292, authorizing an amendment to a master contract with various providers for family-centered support services for at-risk children and families for the period January 1, 2019 through December 31, 2019, to extend the time period to December 31, 2020, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $3,500,000.
I refer to Health and Human Services.
Resolution number 2019-0293, authorizing an amendment to contract number CE 1700-281 with Mental Health Services for Homeless Persons Incorporated, doing business as Frontline Service, for temporary housing for single adults and youth at North Point Transitional Housing located at 1550 Superior Avenue, Cleveland, for the period January 1, 2018 through December 31, 2019, to extend the time period to December 31, 2020, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $1,422,993.
And this will also be referred to Health and Human Services.
Resolution number 2019-0294, authorizing an amendment to contract number CE 1800-167 with Young Women's Christian Association of Greater Cleveland, Ohio, and in parentheses it should read YWCA, for operation and case management services at the Norma Hare Women's Shelter located at 2227 Payne Avenue, Cleveland, for the period May 1, 2018 through December 31, 2019, to extend the time period to December 31, 2020, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $2,751,793.
This will also go to Health and Human Services.
Resolution number 2019-0295, authorizing an amendment to contract number CE 1700-241 with Child Care Resource Center of Cuyahoga County, doing business as Starting Point, for out-of-school time services for youth for the period January 1, 2018 through December 31, 2019, to extend the time period to December 31, 2020, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $1,645,000.
This will go to Education, Environment, and Sustainability. Committee reports and consideration of resolutions for second reading.
Resolution number 2019-0273, declaring that public convenience and welfare requires rehabilitation of St. Clair Avenue Bridge number 04.44 over Doan Brook in the city of Cleveland. Total estimated project cost $2,675,000. Finding that special assessments will neither be levied nor collected to pay for any part of the county's costs of said improvement.
This item will move to the January 14th, 2020 council agenda for consideration for third reading adoption.
Resolution number 2019-0274, declaring that public convenience and welfare requires replacement of Green Road Bridge number 07.47 adjacent to Euclid Creek and resurfacing of surrounding roadway in the city of South Euclid. Total estimated project cost $4,550,000. Finding that special assessments will neither be levied nor collected to pay for any part of the county's costs of said improvement.
This will also move to the January 14th council agenda for consideration for third reading adoption. Committee reports and consideration of resolutions for second reading adoption under suspension of the rules. Could I have a motion to suspend the rules?
Mr. President, I move to suspend the rules.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it, the rules are suspended.
Resolution number 2019-0245, approving the Metro Health Systems policies and procedures to participate in one or more joint purchasing associations for the purpose of acquiring supplies, equipment, and services provided through joint purchasing arrangements in order to achieve beneficial purchasing arrangements for the year 2020 in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 339.05.
Mr. President, to my colleagues on council, this came before the Public Works Committee on December 4th, 2019. This is routine and required under Ohio Revised Code, and so we're just asking that this moves along on second reading suspension to comply with state law.
So, second? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it, the resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2019-0253, determining to proceed with submitting to the electors of Cuyahoga County the question of a replacement of 3.9 mils of an existing Health and Human Services levy and an increase of 0.8 mil for the purpose of supplementing general fund appropriations for health and human or social services for a period of 8 years outside the 10 mil limitation in accordance with the provisions of Section 5705.192 of the Ohio Revised Code and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Been moved and seconded, and this is not routine. All right, well, is there any discussion? We can start anywhere we want to. Councilman Miller first, and I'll try to keep a list.
Mr. President, my colleagues, this resolution asks voters on March 17th to replace our existing 3.9 mil Health and Human Services levy and add 0.8 mils at an additional cost of $41 per $100,000 valuation. Somehow I had an odd thought this morning that somebody was going to say we shouldn't pass the levy because taxes are lower in Avon Lake. I wish that differential did not exist, but the fact is that people in Avon Lake have more money and fewer problems. We have to deal with systems and conditions as they exist in Cuyahoga County. The issue before us is what kind of future we desire for Cuyahoga County. Currently, the city of Cleveland is second in poverty in the nation, and the number of children in county custody has gone up over 75% in the last 10 years. We have wide racial and class disparities in health, longevity, education, and employment. A simple renewal and replacement would probably not even keep us where we are, let alone enable us to get better. My vision for our future is economic and social progress, where anyone, regardless of race or class or what neighborhood one grew up in, can become healthy, well-educated, and socially and economically successful. In my vision, the opiate crisis is resolved, incarceration rates are low, academic success is high, and every capable student is able to go to college or other post-secondary education. We can make progress toward this vision, but only if we fund upstream programs that develop our children, youth, and adults for long-term success. Programs like early childhood education, Say Yes to Education, Closing the Achievement Gap, and the Sector Partnership Workforce Program. The levy will also help fund upstream programs required to reduce our jail population. Funding these programs requires the additional millage asked for in this resolution. The very next item on tonight's agenda provides $1.5 million for an innovative economic development program to make strategic loans with social impact, especially for minority-owned businesses. This investment is right, but works only if we do our economic development and our human capital development together. We can't have one without the other. This levy also enables us to provide more services for our rapidly growing senior population. Our budget provides $3.7 million in additional funding for home services, transportation, congregate meals, protective services, and health care, and we may be able to do more if the levy passes. But without the levy, the added senior services will have to be cut. The proposed levy will not provide for all of our health and human services needs. The unmet needs in mental health, addiction, and senior services alone are very large. However, it will get us moving positively toward our vision. The levy request will raise $35 million additional per year, about 15% more than the $240 million that the two levies currently provide. Since this is the first increase in 7 years, it really only adjusts for inflation. This request will also provide stability and predictability to our citizens. We are committed to asking only for a renewal when the next levy comes in 2024, ensuring no further increase for at least 8 years. My colleague, Ms. Baker, said that the additional $41 per $100,000 valuation is a huge ask. These are hard times for many, and I agree. My desire is that we should be willing to make a huge ask for what our community really needs. I desire that our children come to kindergarten healthy, curious, and ready to learn, that our young adults are able to build quality careers and strong families, that our mentally ill and addicted receive effective treatment, not jail, that our seniors enjoy quality years in their own homes, and that we become an inclusive community where everyone has the opportunity for social and economic success. I'm voting yes for this resolution and ask all my fellow citizens to vote yes on March 17th.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Conwell, do you think there's anything else you could say?
I wrote it a different way.
Okay, all right.
Our job as legislators goes farther than putting a Band-Aid on issues. I'd like to believe they're figuring out the root cause and working with other legislative bodies and community stakeholders to address our issues and decrease spending. One example is the root cause of so much of our health spending, social determinants of health. Social determinants of health is an abstract term, but for Cuyahoga County residents, it is a very tangible, frightening challenge. How can someone manage diabetes if they are constantly worrying about how they're going to afford their meals each week? How can a mother with an asthmatic son really improve his health if their living environment that's driving his condition? How can grandparents on a fixed income continue to take care of their grandchildren of incarcerated parents if we aren't willing to have programs in place when parents return home? This can feel like a frustrating, almost fruitless position for our healthcare providers who understands what is driving the health conditions that they are trying to treat, who wants to help, but can't simply write a prescription for healthy meals, a new home, or a meaningful program. This is where I thank Council President Brady and my colleagues for recognizing the true mission for county government here in Cuyahoga County, continuing to provide the needed services and enhance our county forward with new initiatives that are spelled out with data. For example, seniors living longer due to better wellness, education, children in foster care systems will have better future outcomes living with relatives, and not criminalizing the mentally ill with putting them in jail, and recognizing mental health diversion is better outcome for all. The list can go on and on. Being proactive is how we stay out front of these issues, looking for models that will assist all of us to confront these challenges. Our healthcare systems in Cuyahoga County are taking a look at models that will address healthcare outcomes needs in the communities. Many are looking at accountable health communities models. Under the model, participating providers screen high utilizers of healthcare services for food insecurity, domestic violence risk, and transportation, housing, and utility needs. If needed, patients are set up with navigators who can help determine what resources are available in the community to meet the patient's needs. Looking at models like these will be carefully assessed to see whether this is an effective way to meet these non-health needs and whether making these connections improves health and decrease health spending. Just like how every patient is different in healthcare, every person has unique social service needs, and County Council are intent on learning and working to provide the right holistic approach to prevention and well-being, connecting them to the services they need, rather than offering a one-size-fits-all approach.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Baker?
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a difficult vote for me today. I want to first of all say that it's important to note that I am on the record at our last council meeting for voting for a replacement levy that Councilman Schron proposed that would increase our health and human services $11 million more a year. There is no question that a Health and Human Services levy needs to continue. We have those in need that depend on our county to continue to provide food and shelter, medical services, mental health, and other important basic needs. This replacement levy increases $11 million per our Director of Health and Human Services, and it would reasonably cover future inflation costs and some additional programming. So this is not something that we would be short in funding. This is something that would continue what we're already doing, cover inflation costs, and also some additional programming. It would cost the homeowner $13.58 more per year for every $100,000 value of property. Our taxpayers are already paying $122.92 per year, so adding $13.58 would equal $136.50 per 100,000 value of property. For a 200,000 value of property, which is somewhat in my district, it would cost the homeowner a new tax of $273 instead of $245.84. I think that difference is a reasonable ask of our taxpayers, as they have always been gracious in supporting our Health and Human Service levies. My concerns of passing a replacement levy, along with an increase of 0.8 mils, has been repeatedly expressed over the past few weeks. The increase from $13.58 to $41.58 per year to our homeowners per 100,000 property value is a big ask. Again, the current property tax now paid per 100,000 property is $122.92, and including the 0.8 mil will increase to $164.50. That is, no matter how you slice it, a 33% increase. For a $200,000 property value, it would cost the homeowner $329 instead of what they are currently paying of $245.84. There are too many families and seniors on fixed incomes that do not use county services, but struggle to pay their bills, put food on the table, maintain their homes, and take care of their families. To add a 33% increase to Health and Human Services is too much to ask and could hurt those that are actually paying the bills. I understand that there is a desire to expand programs totaling to $9 million per year and new programs totaling to $16 million per year, with most of the 0.8 mil increase. At this time, I am not convinced that the programs presented are fiscally responsible or proven, especially given that we will be managing the millions of dollars that we will be receiving from the opioid lawsuit settlement. Much of those dollars will overlap with the services we currently provide. Opiate addiction services can be intertwined with mental health, homelessness, and health issues. If additional services are needed, we can reassess and ask for consideration with the Health and Human Services levy that will be on the ballot to continue in 2024. Finally, our taxpayers in Cuyahoga County have always been generous in supporting our Health and Human Service levy. This levy will be voted on in a March primary, where candidates are the focus in a partisan election, and historically we will have a low turnout, especially with independent voters. To ask for such a large increase in a predictable small turnout of voters is also concerning. It takes advantage of our homeowners that may not vote in March and will wake up on Wednesday morning to find they have a large tax to overcome, larger than they anticipated a Health and Human Services levy would be. This type of an increase should be placed on the November ballot, where the turnout is much greater. I am disappointed today not to support this levy, as I know the services are needed. I voted for the replacement levy at our last council meeting, but cannot support the proposal that is before us today. For the reasons I have stated, I will be voting no. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Schron.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I too have, with Ms. Baker, have recognizing the difficulty of today. For today, we're being asked to make an important decision as to what each of us believes as individuals to be the correct choice regarding putting this tax on the ballot. What we have before us is a resolution that will put a replacement levy of $11 million of new taxes, plus an additional $24 million. There were a number of us who felt that the voters should be able to decide whether either or both of these tax increases were something that they wished to support. As such, I voted to put $11 million replacement levy on the March ballot. Unfortunately, we were not successful in getting this on the ballot with the follow-on resolution that would have provided the voters with a separate opportunity to decide if they wanted to increase the additional $24 million. Some have stated that the HHS levy percentage is relatively smaller, but the percentage of the existing levy exceeds 30%. The increase of $24 million has been laid out as covering new programs, described by many as aspirational. While aspirational is a lofty goal, actual planning is what I believe the taxpayers require and what seems to be lacking. Just to review a few of the programs from Director Parfovich, excuse my, said that the kinship, that they had not done the business plan to lay out the program. The cost of specific savings directly related to the $6 million program, which will cost over over 8 years, will be $48 million. He said he expects that there would be a savings of 50% of the $52 million residential treatment costs with regards to the kinship program. He thought the actual dollar impact on the budget would be somewhere between $5 million and $10 million per year. If you just average that out, that comes out to $7.5 million, a resulting $60 million of favorable impact on the budget. But yet, nothing was included in that favorable impact in any budgeting conversations. Director Parfovich, when asked about the Say Yes program, which was being funded by the $24 million, the amount of $5 million, said he was offered only one school when he went to review the program in Buffalo. When asked if he thought that this was the correct amount to be reviewed, he said quietly no. We were told that the pre-K program was going to be supported by the community and the business, and it was going to be raising $100 million in a fund. We were told that now roughly 10% was actually raised in this regard. So now a $24 million increase is being put in to replace with $5 million of the levy for this new tax. We've been told just to go ahead and pass the tax, and we can approve or disapprove of any of these programs that I just discussed or the other ones before they come out during the budgeting. Unfortunately, if passed, this levy, unlike a biennial budget, the taxpayers will have already been committed to the entire $200 million increase over these 8 years. The administration needs to present detailed plans. The administration needs to be doing what they should be doing before asking to fund an 8-year increase. Sometimes as simple as the item that we just had about the trees. We were told we were going to get reports before we were ever even asked to increase that by $2 million. We were told that even a couple months ago. I have not seen that report. I don't think it's been shared with us. The trees, most of which are going to be not even planted till next year, but yet we've just increased that by $2 million. We have also observed the lack of planning by the administration in the ERP installation. We recognize the administration's lack of planning, and this project is now appearing to be over $9 million over budget. If we are truly will be saving that amount of money in the residential kinship program, why are we asking the taxpayers to fund this rather than having built it directly into the operational budgets themselves? The amount being requested is less than the amount of savings that the director reported. Today, I will not be voting to support the HHS $35 million replacement and tax increase, not because I'm against the HHS levy. I had said, I proposed a resolution, I voted for it, I actually requested it to go on the March ballot for the $11 million. I am not supporting because of the lack of planning being brought forth with this measure and the requested $35 million increase being asked for of the taxpayers with this resolution. Sadly, I will be voting against it.
Thank you, Councilman, and we're going to go to Councilman Gallagher next, but I just wanted to make sure we didn't get confused. The $2 million for the trees is in the general budget, which is in the biennial budget, which is coming up, not in the Health and Human Service levy, just to be clear that that's the case.
It was only the planning that I was referring to. I did not refer.
I just didn't want anybody to be confused. Councilman Gallagher.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also have some issues with the ask. It's a big ask, but I have a different take on that. In 19 years of elected office, which some people might say have been 18 too many, I've never really run from the fact that I think the electorate's pretty smart. The need is real. The want is not what we want, what we need. And I think it covers what we need. I have problems with the new programming, but that hopefully can be altered to the point where I could support this. I'm going to support this to go to the ballot to let the people decide. You know, this body wasn't put here to make decisions on tax dollars for individual voters. We want the voters to make a decision. And it's going to be a yay or nay. And this is a big ask, and it's a tough task for those that are going to be asking for this. And I hope to be on that side, and if I can't, then so be it. And I wish everybody the best that they can do to get this thing passed. So I'll be supporting this for the voters in my district to tell me or to tell the county what they determine is enough or not too much for them to pay. But it is concerning, the cost. It is concerning the need. And Lorain County is starting to feel that, as we heard tonight about Lorain County. Not only are they taking a lot of people from Cuyahoga County, a lot of the problems of Cuyahoga County are flowing over into Lorain County, and those services are needed in Lorain County also. So this need doesn't go away. It may shift a little bit, but it doesn't shift all that far. They either go to Lorain, Medina, sometimes even to Geauga and Lake. But I look forward to hopefully being on board with this, but I really think we should afford the electorate the opportunity to make this decision.
Thank you, Councilman Gallagher. You know, in some ways, the council has become the steward of the Health and Human Service levy. Our role, whether it's to seek a renewal or a replacement or an increase, is fundamental. When it would appear on the ballot, how many years the levy would run. We need a supermajority of 8 to even place it on the ballot. This is one of the most important responsibilities that this council has, and it's one of its most important duties. You know, we're not voting to raise property taxes. We are giving the voters the opportunity to support the levy. They have a free will, and they will exercise it as they please on the 17th of March. In my opinion, we're giving the voters the option of investing in the future of the quality of life in our county. Without this levy, the county will fall behind. It will be faced with a crisis before very long. With this levy, we can get in front of our challenges. This council has a reputation and a record of facing our challenges head on. This evening, I'm asking the council to continue in this tradition.
Mr. President.
Councilman Miller.
I would just like to add one comment that the two Health and Human Services levies together currently raise $240 million a year. We're proposing an increase of $35 million, which is about 15%. the higher numbers that we've heard are technically correct when applied just to the one levy as if it's not part of a larger system. But the comparison as to how we're changing the overall health and human services funding from what we have today is the right comparison. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Miller. Is there anybody else who would like to say anything? Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've been here 10 years, and I believe we've been good stewards over these 10 years. Some may question, but I believe we made a conscientious effort to put forward before the people good legislation and an opportunity to support this health and human service levy. And they have done that over the years. They have made that decision. And I do agree, we're simply giving them an opportunity to make that decision. As Councilman Gallagher said, the need is real. The need is real. And we can go through all of the issues. Councilman Miller laid it out very clearly from a big picture, all the issues. But if I just touch on a few, we know there are 9 deaths in the county jail. And overcrowding is an issue. It is the core issue. And we have a diversion facility that could bring that population down, would have the opportunity to right-size that population. And with that's a critical need. That's a critical service that I believe the community can understand. The opiate crisis, these are real problems, and these dollars there's inflation that just has to be accounted for. And not only inflation, but there is an investment. And we are genuinely investing in the residents of this county. We are investing in children, and Councilman Miller mentioned some of the programs that raise the graduation rate of the residents in this county. And when the graduation rate increases, Say Yes to Education is there waiting to pay for a college education for the residents of this county. And all we have to do is invest in the children to keep that graduation rate rising. So we can go on and on. Councilman Miller has laid them out. But capturing that inflation and making an investment in the residents of this community when we know the poverty level that's here. So this is an issue that I certainly support, and it will have my vote.
All right, thank you very much. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll on 0253?
Calling the roll, Ms. Stevens? Ms. Simon?
Yes.
Ms. Baker? No. Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Tuma?
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher? Yes. Mr. Schron?
No.
Ms. Conwell? Yes. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Brown? Yes. Council President Brady?
Yes.
Motion carries. Continuing on with the next item, resolution number 2019-0255, authorizing an economic development loan in the amount not to exceed $1,500,000 to ARC Impact Program for the benefit of leveraging equity and debt investments with positive social impact.
Move to adopt.
Second.
The ARC Impact Program is one in which, if you look at the core of the charter, it talks about economic development and jobs and job growth as being the fundamental component of our county charter. If you read the preamble, it's covered in 3 of the 6 items in regards to that. And so this is one element where job and job creation is going to be tested a little bit. The ARC program has an element of more of risk. But I think that when we look at it, it is backstopped with the Kresge Foundation. Should there be any problems that takes place in regards to any of the funding going forward, the fund itself, our $1.5 million will be a portion of what could go as high as a $20 million fund for job and job creation. The other important part about this is that they do have a social impact to every one of their investments with the design to be inner city and small business-related growth out there. So I would ask my colleagues to support this and going forward, and I will be supporting this.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2019-0264, confirming the county executive's reappointment of various mayors to serve on the Cuyahoga County Planning Commission representing various regions for the term January 1, 2020 through December 31, 2022, as printed on the agenda.
To adopt. Council President, Mayor DeSecco and Mayor Bopes have both served on the Planning Commission honorably. Mayor Bopes, while she was unable to attend the committee, does seek to continue to serve in this capacity. And I would like to note that these appointments are required to be held by mayors within Cuyahoga County. And having the privilege of serving with both of them, with my council colleague, Councilwoman Simon, I do support the executive's decision and respectfully request my colleague's support.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2019-0265, confirming the county executive's reappointment of Patricia A. Schlonsky to serve on the Cuyahoga County Public Library Board of Trustees for the term February 1, 2020 through January 31, 2027.
Council President, this was also heard in the Human Resources Appointment and Equity Committee. Ms. Schlonsky stepped forward and presented her case as it relates to her desire to continue to serve in this capacity, and she has been a tremendous asset, and we would respectfully request the full support of this council for her reappointment.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2019-0267, declaring the necessity to transfer $998,131 in unexpended funds in the District Waterline Fund to the District Sanitary Fund and District Stormwater Fund, all to the credit of County Sewer District 1A, located in the city of Parma, authorizing the county executive to submit a petition to the Ohio Tax Commissioner to approve such transfer.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
And, Mr. President, this piece of legislation, Ms. Nicole English, came before the Public Works Committee on December 4th, 2019 to discuss this. This is permitting execution of a contract on behalf of the city of Parma, who signed on to a different contract and allowing these funds to transfer from the closed account into the open account. And so we're asking for this on second reading suspension.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2019-0268, making awards on various requisitions to various providers in the total amount not to exceed $3,485,000 for various supplies for the period January 1, 2020 through December 31, 2021, as printed on the agenda.
Motion to adopt. Second. And, Mr. President, this piece of legislation, we had Mike Chambers come before the Public Works Committee and discuss this. This is the Public Works attempt to try to obtain better pricing as they did in other areas. This is for facilities. And again, there were 17 RFPs that went out, and these were the bids that came back. And this was thoroughly discussed in committee, and I would ask for second reading suspension on this piece of legislation as well.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. You can move to page 12, as the clerk would have said.
Yes, item number 8. Resolution number 2019-0269, declaring that public convenience and welfare requires reconstruction and realignment of Franklin Avenue as a part of the Irishtown Bend project from Columbus Road to West 25th Street in the city of Cleveland. Total estimated project cost $2,149,000, finding that special assessments will neither be levied nor collected to pay for any part of the county's costs of said improvement.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Okay, Mr. President, I have a little technical difficulty here. With respect to this piece of legislation, this is dealing with welfare and convenience for the Irishtown Bend. This is a realignment of Franklin Road to where it used to be, and it helped with traffic flow. This is going to be covered 80% by the county, 20% by Cleveland as part of this road project. And so we're asking for second reading suspension on this piece of legislation.
All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2019-0270, declaring that public convenience and welfare requires pier repairs on West 150th Street Bridge number 01.94 over Chatfield Avenue, Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority, Norfolk Southern Railroad, and Emory Road Extension in the city of Cleveland. Total estimated project cost $1,250,000, finding that special assessments will neither be levied nor collected to pay for any part of the county's costs of said improvement.
Motion to adopt?
Second.
Okay, and Mr. President, this piece of legislation here is also dealing with welfare and convenience. This is the West 150th Bridge. It's a local major bridge. It's a repair project after the county did their inspections. The estimated construction completion date is in 2020, and this is a $1.25 million project with 50% coming from Issue 1 funding and 50% from county road and bridge funds. And I would ask that we move forward with second reading suspension on this as well.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. Resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2019-0271, declaring that public convenience and welfare requires replacement of Shady Road Culvert number C-02.00 over Busby Ditch in Olmsted Township. Total estimated project cost $600,000. Finding that special assessments will neither be levied nor collected to pay for any part of the county's costs of said improvement.
Motion to adopt?
Second.
And, Mr. President, this piece of legislation is for welfare and convenience as well, and this is out in Olmsted Township, and this is the county's responsibility to take care of the culverts out there, and we're asking for movement on this second reading suspension.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2019-0272, declaring that public convenience and welfare requires gusset plates and steel repairs on Hillside Road Bridge number 03.81 over the Cuyahoga River in the City of Independence and Village of Valley View. Total estimated project cost $500,000, finding that special assessments will neither be levied nor collected to pay for any part of the county's costs of said improvement.
Motion to adopt?
Second.
And, Mr. President, this piece of legislation is also for welfare and convenience, and this is the Hillside Road Bridge. It's dealing with the steel structure, bridge built originally in 1923, and was rehabbed in 2002, and it's time for some repair work on this as well. And so we're asking for second reading suspension.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2019-0275, making an award on requisition number 46567 to Hannah Holdings Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $4 million for property management services for the medical examiner building and parking garage located at 11001 Cedar Avenue, Cleveland, for the period January 1, 2020 through December 31, 2024.
A motion to adopt?
Second.
And, Mr. President, this piece of legislation, Matt Reimer from Public Works came before the committee on December 4th, and this is with respect to a contract to Hannah Commercial for property management at the medical examiner building. It's a 5-year contract, and they'll pay the actual costs plus $60,000, which is a fixed management fee. And there are certain nuances to this building that require a management group that knows what they're doing, and after a thorough discussion, we viewed this to be the case here. So I would ask for movement on second reading suspension so they can move forward with the contract that begins on January 1st.
Thank you, Councilman. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2019-0276, authorizing the issuance and sale of County of Cuyahoga, Ohio Economic Development Revenue Refunding Bonds, Series 2020A, Brownfield Redevelopment Fund Project, in the maximum aggregate principal amount of $11 million in one or more series to refund a certain portion of the county's Economic Development Revenue Bond, Series 2010A, originally issued for the purpose of providing monies to pay costs of projects within the meaning of Chapter 165, Ohio Revised Code, authorizing the execution and delivery of a supplemental trust indenture securing the payment of the bonds, establishing funds of the county related related thereto, authorizing the execution and delivery of a purchase agreement relating to the sale of the bonds and related agreements and certificates, authorizing and approving related matters. Mr. President, this item, as well as the next two items, were pending committee recommendation, and they did receive that recommendation to move forward on this agenda.
Move to adopt. Mr. President, colleagues, this and the next two resolutions propose the refunding of approximately $34.5 million in county bonds to take advantage of lower interest rates. The expected savings to the general fund is approximately $3.3 million over 10 years. I recommend passage on second reading suspension to give the administration maximum flexibility in timing the sale of these bonds.
All right, on 0276. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Councilman Strawn.
and I too sat on the hearings and was excited to see that we are using these vehicles with the interest rates having dropped and the extension. This is going to result in a little over $400,000 for the first few years, and it's going to average out around $300 and some $1,000. We also are looking at an additional amount. This is only 1/10 of the amount of funding to be refinanced. When combined all together, it will be $3 million per year if we go through the entire repackaging of all of our bonds out there. Again, I am wholeheartedly in favor of using these kind of vehicles like this.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2019-0277, authorizing the issuance and sale of County of Cuyahoga, Ohio Economic Development Revenue Refunding Bond Series 2020B Commercial Redevelopment Fund Project in the maximum aggregate principal amount of $7,500,000 in one or more series to refund a certain portion of the county's Economic Development Revenue Bond Series 2010B, originally issued for the purpose of providing monies to pay costs of projects within the meaning of Chapter 165 Ohio Revised Code, authorizing the execution and delivery of a supplemental trust indenture securing the payment of the bonds, establishing funds of the county related thereto, authorizing the execution and delivery of a purchase agreement relating to the sale of the bonds and related agreements and certificates, authorizing and approving related matters.
Move to adopt.
Second. Any comments? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2019-0278, authorizing the issuance and sale of County of Cuyahoga, Ohio Economic Development Revenue Refunding Bonds, Series 2020C, Gateway Arena Project, in the maximum aggregate principal amount of $16 million in one or more series for the purpose of providing monies to refund a certain portion of the county's Economic Development Revenue Refunding Bonds, Series 2010C, originally issued for the purpose of providing monies to pay costs of a project within the meaning of Chapter 165 Ohio Revised Code, and to refund bonds previously issued for that purpose, authorizing the execution and delivery of a supplemental trust indenture securing the payment of the bonds, establishing funds of the county related thereto, authorizing the execution and delivery of a purchase agreement relating to the sale of the bonds and related agreements and certificates, authorizing and approving related matters.
Second.
Without further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2019-0279, authorizing and ratifying the structure for payment of compensation to 33 county employees whose base salaries exceed the maximum for the applicable salary ranges for their respective positions.
Council President, I'd like to make a motion. There's a proposed substitute before us for R2019-0279. And I'm going to ask if Ms. Woods would also come up. Is this okay to do this now? Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Come on up.
All right.
Good evening. Holly Woods, Director of HR for Benefits and Compensation. To the chair, to council. So to give you some background on this matter, in January 2019, the 2% general wage increase was issued for all executive agency employees. In March of 2019, the PRC went before council to have the non-bargaining salary ranges approved for 2019. This was approved at the end of March. This included not moving the ranges for 2019. This decision was in alignment with HR's recommendation based on best compensation practice that salary ranges generally should not move at the same rate as general wage increases. Each year we look at research, so organizations like World at Work Organization, which is a total rewards association, publishes their study on range movement and salary increase budgets. And the data shows that increases in salary range movements should not move at the same pace. While some companies do adjust those annually, it's usually at a fraction of the increase amount, or they tend to adjust those biannually. Our practice has been to adjust them at the same pace year after year. So as a result of the salary ranges being approved 3 months after that general wage increase took place, it did put a number of employees over their salary range maximum for 2019. So this will accomplish two things. For 2019, it'll allow those impacted employees' salaries to be over the maximum of their salary range as a result of that 2% general wage increase. And then two, since HR is aware that PRC is looking to increase the non-bargaining salary ranges by 2% for 2020, we're requesting that council grant HR approval to bring those 33 impacted employees to the new maximum of the range and then pay out the remainder in a lump sum payment that would reflect, instead of paying it in their salary, it's just a lump sum payment.
Thank you. Questions? Hearing none. Councilwoman?
I thank Ms. Hollywoods for coming forward and re-clarifying what it is that was discussed in the HR committee. I just wanted to make sure there was a technicality related to the proposed substitute where I think the number of employees were removed from the 33. Do you have the total impact number or a rough estimate?
So a rough estimate right now is 31, and just to clarify that, so we found after pulling the reports, and one example is, as you all know, we've been doing a lot of data cleanup with our new system, and we found one of those employees was in the wrong salary range. So where it didn't reflect they were over the max, they may have been over the max. So we'll continue to look at that. Right now we're at 31. If there's any other discrepancies, we would find them during the general increase amount, but we did not want to indicate a number because if we find another one that has a data discrepancy, it wouldn't allow us to adjust them appropriately.
Okay, thank you. And I understand we need to, if the council clerk has given me some instructions that we need to make a second motion as well once we've approved this substitute. So I just want to make that clear for my council colleagues. So I guess we need a motion.
Madam Clerk, keep our parliamentary procedure in order. So we're voting on the substitute now, is that right?
Well, bringing up on the floor, a motion was made by Ms. Brown, second Mr. Miller, for a motion to adopt, and then the substitute, you'll need a motion by Ms. Brown with a second by another council member in order to accept the proposed substitute.
So we need to cast a vote before that.
For the proposed substitute, yes.
All right, do we need a motion for the proposed substitute?
Yes.
I already did that, I think. So all in favor now? Are we at the all in favor?
I'll second if you're looking for a second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on the proposed substitute? Hearing none. All those in favor of accepting the proposed substitute say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. The proposed substitute is adopted. Any further discussion? All those in favor of adopting the resolution on its merits as substituted say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it.
Aye.
Resolution is adopted. Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you. Resolution number 2019-0280, making an award and requisition number 45619 to Med Mutual Life Insurance Company in the amount not to exceed $5,400,368 for group life, voluntary life, and accidental death insurance for county employees for the period January 1, 2020 through December 31, 2022.
For that.
Second.
Council President, this was also heard in the Human Resource Appointment and Equity Committee, and I respectfully request my colleagues' support.
All those in Favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2019-0281, making an award on requisition number 45619 to the Guardian Life Insurance Company of America in the amount not to exceed $9,848,526 for dental insurance for county employees and their eligible dependents for the period January 1, 2020 through December 31, 2022.
Council President, so move.
Second.
This is also heard in Human Resources Appointment and Equity Committee meeting, standard contract, and I respectfully request my colleagues' support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2019-0282, making an award on requisition number 45619 to Vision Service Plan in the amount not to exceed $1,823,399 for vision insurance for county employees and their eligible dependents for the period January 1, 2020 through December 31, 2022.
Move to adopt. Council President, this was heard in the Human Resources Appointment and Equity Committee meeting. You may recall we once had a Union Eye Care for our vision plan. They are no longer in business. This is a new carrier with which will be providing us with more service at the same cost. So I do respectfully request my colleagues' support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Consideration of resolutions for third reading adoption.
Resolution number 2019-0224, adopting the 2020-2021 biennial operating budget and capital improvements program and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, my colleagues, this resolution is the county's general operating budget for 2020 and 2021 and capital improvements program. I would like to thank Council President Brady for giving me the opportunity to lead this budget process, and to thank all of my colleagues, Executive Budish, Director Keenan, and all of the OBM staff who had to work very hard to process the budget using the new chart of accounts, and all departmental directors, Trevor McAleer, and all the council staff and community leaders for their assistance in the successful completion of the budget process. This budget represents the convergent and collaborative product of the council and executives' joint efforts. We held a total of 9 public hearings on the budget with a high level of openness and transparency. We considered a larger number of alternative requests than at any other budget process under the new government. Council responded to both departmental and community requests. The completed product reflects the combined thinking of many people, including all members of council. The county benefited from some positive changes at the state level, notably the increased funding for indigent defense and child welfare. The general fund budget is close to balanced, with modest draws on reserves of $6 million in 2020 and $1 million in 2021. The shortfall amounts to only 0.7% of revenues over the biennium. The HHS levy fund has a shortfall of $3.2 million or 1.3% of revenues in 2020, which is of concern only because Health and Human Service reserves are very low. The operating numbers for 2021 will move to a significant surplus if the levy is approved. The budget details have been well discussed, so I will only mention a few strategic highlights. The budget makes a strong commitment to continuing progress on jail operations. The budget fully funds the 675 corrections officers that comprise the target level this year and provides additional funding to raise the staffing to 725, with additional funding for expansion of supervisory personnel. The budget makes strong commitments to children, senior citizens, and mental health. Funding is provided for increased compensation to guardian ad litem attorneys working to protect our children. funding is provided for Say Yes to Education, expansion of the Closing the Achievement Gap program, and additional food assistance. Additional funding for senior programs covers home services, congregate meals, transportation, protective services, geriatric nurses, and navigator services. We also provided $250,000 each in one-time funding to the Rape Crisis Center and the Adoption Network to help bridge the funding they lost because of federal victims of crime funding reductions. Our intent is that the agencies will be able to find replacement funding over the next year and that ongoing funding will not be necessary. There is never enough funding to cover all the services that are legitimately desired and requested. However, I believe we funded the highest priorities, with emphasis on improving people's lives and a good balance between immediate needs and upstream services that will make things better in the future. I ask for your support of the 2020 and 2021 biennial county budget and capital improvements plan.
All right. Any other discussion or comments on the biennial budget? Been another long process. We always look forward to that. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Resolution is passed, and we have a budget.
Resolution number 2019-0254, authorizing a community development and economic development business growth and attraction loan in the amount not to exceed $900,000 to Rochling Glastic Composites for the benefit of a company expansion project to be located at 4321 Glen Ridge Road in the city of South Euclid.
Second.
Mr. President, this was heard in the Economic Development Committee. This project is hugely significant to the city of South Euclid, especially because it doesn't have highway access. So this expansion hopefully will bring in, they're estimating 26 new jobs and high-level paying jobs. And I ask for your support, and hopefully this will be significant as we think it will.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.
Resolution number 2019-0256, authorizing a revenue-generating agreement with United Cerebral Palsy Association of Greater Cleveland Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $84,396 for lease of space at the Green Road Services Center located at 4329 Green Road, Highland Hills, for the period January 1, 2020 through December 31, 2022.
Mr. Chuma, do you have any comments on this? No. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. We have miscellaneous committee reports. Now, we won't be having any committees till after the first of the year, so I wouldn't be surprised if you hadn't determined exactly when you might meet. We will be meeting again on the 19th, as we always do, for the special meeting that is necessary, I'm always told.
Mr. President?
Councilman.
The next meeting of the Finance and Budgeting Committee will be at our regular time on Monday, January the 6th, 2020 at 1 p.m. to hear the items referred today.
Got his calendar out. Thank you, Councilman. Anybody else?
The Community Development Committee is scheduled for January 6th, Monday, January 6th at 10 a.m. To deal with the item referred today.
And Human Resources Appointment and Equity Committee will meet January 7th at 10 o'clock.
Education Environment, Wednesday, the 8th of January at 3 p.m. for the item referred today.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Mr. President, yeah, I'll speak with the clerk to see whether or not that legislation is required to move forward before deciding whether or not we'll meet Public Works. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other miscellaneous business before this council? Hearing none, we are adjourned.